All right, hello and welcome back. Here we are with our model, and this is our mouse model, and we've been going along in this tutorial series building this thing. And in our first series, as you know, first video we built this surface here, second video we built this surface here, and in our third video we built this boundary surface. Now, in the third video, I made the claim that in this video we would be doing the mirror operation. We're finally at the point where we're happy with the curvature continuity between these three surfaces, and so it's time to mirror this thing and see if all the work that we've been doing so far, I think it's close to an hour of recorded tutorial video of us setting up reference geometry, extruded surfaces on these edges, setting up horizontal relations on all of our guide curves. We're going to finally see all of that stuff come to fruition, to see if it worked, to see if we have perfect curvature continuity across a mirrored seam. And so we're going to do that now. Now, full disclosure, you may notice that there are quite a few more guide curves on this boundary surface than there were in the last video, and that's because in the background here I've been nitpicking this thing to death. I couldn't help it. I did record the videos of me adding additional guide curves along this boundary surface, but they are tremendously boring, and I'm not even talking. I'm just going through the motions that we went through in all of our other videos, where I create a plane, put a guide curve on the plane, and then fuss around with the curve until the surface that it creates is to my liking. And so, as opposed to kind of forcing that down your throat and boring you all to death, I'm just going to kind of try to just explain it now. And if you notice that there's differences in the model, that's because that's what's been happening in the background. Okay. But if we look at these guide curves, you get a pretty clear example of what I've been up to, right? I adjusted each of these front guide curves so that they're a pretty straight transition from the top surface to the bottom surface. And then if you look, by the time you get here, you start to see this thing round out a little bit more. And then over here, it's even got an additional spline point on it, and it rounds even more. So what I'm doing is I'm building an edge that starts out sharp and tight and then rounds as it travels from one side of the model to the other. And so that's how you get those really nice disappearing fade marks on your model like that, is by a variety of very intricately placed guide curves. And so I've been doing that stuff in the background, but just take my word for it. Anyway, good news is the work that we've done so far in the first two videos setting this up is all you need to do that yourself. So you might want to give it a try. Okay, so it's time to do the mirror. Let's do that. Let's go to our Features tab, and we'll go Mirror. Now, because we built off of our origin, remember our origin is right up here in the front. You can see it there, that orange point. That's our origin. Because we built off the origin, we can use one of the stock planes. We can use the right plane to mirror across. Now, right now, as you know, we just have a few surfaces in this design. It's comical how much work we've put into building just 3 surfaces, but that is the name of the game. And in SolidWorks, when you build surfaces, those surfaces show up in your model as what they call surface bodies. Okay, it's different than solid bodies, and we'll see the difference here in a second. So how does that relate to a mirror operation? Well, if you look here under mirror, there's quite a few different things that you can mirror. First, you can mirror features. You can also mirror faces, and you can mirror bodies. Now, features would be like if you had an extruded boss base and you wanted to mirror it, or if you had been doing solid modeling all day on a half model and you wanted to mirror that. Okay, but we don't have that. We have just surfaces, and those surfaces are surface bodies. So we have to go to bodies to mirror, and then we'll tell this mirror to mirror bodies. Okay, so we'll click in this box, and then we'll just click on the 3 surfaces we built so far, one by one, and it will mirror them across. Now there's some options down here that you can turn on or off depending on what you want. You can go knit surfaces, and it will knit the mirror together. You can also do merge solids, but we don't have any solids, so we can't do that. So let's try knit surfaces and see what happens. Looks pretty good. Let's look at evaluate, curvature. All right, so here we go. So what I'm really looking for here is I'm looking for a clean transition across this seam. All right, and I see it. I mean, I see a strange little kind of artifact going on here in this surface, but the good news is that at the seam, it's nice and clean. Okay, so that's what we want. Also down here on this seam too, there's almost no deviation in surface continuity here across this seam, so that's a perfect mirror. So all this work, there's something happening back here, but you know what? Honestly, when you roll right in on this this four-sided corner, there's always going to be something there. We can just trim that out and patch it up with a little filled surface. No big deal. Same thing over here, okay? So all this work that we've been putting into the boundary surfaces that we've created so far has paid off, and we now have a perfectly clean mirrored model, okay? So the next question becomes, all right, well, how do you turn this thing into a solid, right? Because there's this big hole in the bottom. It's still surfaces. If we look at our design tree, we've got a surface bodies folder, and if we unfold that, you can see, first you can see all the hidden surface bodies. These are all the reference surfaces that we've built. So if you hover over them, you can see, like, there's the extruded surfaces for the boundary surface, the extruded surface for the top filled surface, a couple more extruded surfaces for the middle boundary surface. And those are all hidden because they're reference geometry. We used them for what we needed them for, and now they're hidden. Okay? You have to keep these here because they are the things that are holding all of your other surfaces together. So you have to keep them there. So just leave them be. And our goal here is going to be to take these three visible surfaces, which is this boundary surface here, this boundary surface here, and this one here, which are the half of the model that you built mirrored across and then knitted because we hit the knit button when we did the mirror. Okay, so we have three surfaces to combine, and we have to just first patch this hole on the bottom. So we'll go to surfaces, we'll go to planar surface, and we're just going to patch this up with a planar surface command. All right. So now it's time to knit this sucker together. So let's do that. Let's turn on knit surface, select our entire model. All right. Now I have to admit, this is a very clean model, right? It's built out of very few surfaces. It's very organic. It's a very good model. I'm very happy with this thing. So when we knit all the surfaces together, the knit command gives us some options. One of the options is create solid. That's because SolidWorks has recognized that we have what they call a watertight model, and that means that there are no holes in our model. So anytime we select a series of surfaces that create an enclosed volume or a watertight model, it will show you this create solid button and allow you to check it. And when you check that button and perform the knit operation, you will solidify your surfaces into a solid, which you can use this section tool to double check. So there you go. So it's just that easy, right? Trick is sometimes you won't see that create solid button show up. Like for instance, if we remove the surface plane on the bottom and we put a big old hole in our model, and then we go to knit surface and we select all of the surfaces in our model, all right, we try to go create solid, all right, see what happens. Oh, come on, did that work? No way that worked. Yeah, it looks like here we are in SolidWorks 2016, and it looks like maybe the create solid button doesn't just appear and disappear the way it used to. So it has knit all the surfaces into one single surface, but there are no surface bodies to show. So anyway, let's delete that and let's patch our hole and get it done right. Okay, knit surface, create solid, grab all those, and then knit them together. And there she is. Okay, let's double check it with the section tool. Perfect. Voila. All right, so good news. So that's solidifying your model into a solid. We'll check it one last time with our curvature analysis tool. See how we're doing here. Very good. All right. Zebra stripes, will try that out. Zebra stripes are looking really clean across the top. I'm super happy with that. All right, good news. All right, now in class I talked about this, so I'll try it in the video here. It's an experimental thing. So I'm just going to save my work right there because I've created a solid model from a series of mirrored surfaces, and that's a big move to make, so I'm going to save my work. All right, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do something pretty gutsy. This command is called delete face. And what it does is it deletes faces from solid bodies to create surfaces, or deletes faces from surface bodies. Okay, so we have a solid body now. We can double check that because the solid bodies folder has appeared since we solidified the surfaces of our model. If we open that up and we click on the solid body, it selects the solid model that we have. Okay, Now up here on the top, I have two surfaces that are running on the top of this model. Now with delete face, you can delete those two surfaces, okay? And what delete face will do is either delete them, so that'll open your model back up. You can also delete and patch, and then you can also do a delete and fill with a tangent fill option. So with that, we may have the opportunity of just combining these two into one. So let's try it. Okay, so let's approve that. And let's see what happens. So you can see what it did. It took those two surfaces and created one out of them. All right. We still have the solid bodies. And so we're just, again, we're just cleaning up our model. Okay. We're cleaning this model to try to create a scenario where there's as few as possible. Okay. Few surfaces as possible. All right. Let's look at evaluate again. We'll look at curvature. The curvature is different now. It's cleaner. All right. And honestly, I'm a little bit happier with that. I like my top surface to be one surface instead of two. I've got a little bit of a bump in the front, and that's fine. And I'm really happy with the way that worked, okay? If I go ahead and turn on zebra stripes, I have absolutely crystal clear zebra stripes now. Whoa, that looks good. Man, that is what you want when you're talking about zebra stripes. So delete face has done us a lot of good in just combining that together. Now, I can also use my timeline here to just skip back before the delete face. And then I can evaluate kind of the difference between, this is with delete face off. I'm just analyzing my model, guys. I'm just checking it out. And really what I'm looking at is how does the edge fall here? This is my kind of money shot area. And then I'm going to pull this timeline down. You can see there's a little bit of a bump that it gets. It kind of bumps the surface up. So that's one warning about delete face, is that it will adjust your surfaces so that they may not be kind of what you want. Now, maybe in this scenario, it's okay because we are going to have to, in our next couple videos, we're going to be chopping into this thing. We're going to be separating out these surfaces and creating some part lines and creating the wheel and all of that. So it may be okay. You have to make the decision on can you live with that or not. Let me just turn off the edges of my model and look at it. We're doing is just, and there's that little hiccup down there. Ugh. So we can go and we can kind of cycle through using our timeline to see before and after photos. That's before, pretty clean, and then after. It's such a small little bump. Did you see it move? Ah, well, hey, it's up to you. So this is an optional thing. Both are clean, so it's really just up to you. So I think I'm gonna keep it. I kind of like it. Less is more, right? All right, guys. So there you go. That's your video on how to solidify your models. Thanks for watching.